That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet.
When you could not prove anyone right or wrong, all the expertise was contained in the people involved in the conversation.
We hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, "That don't sound right," send us a comment. You're one of us.
In case the kangaroo's jumping.
Are you setting me up for a joke?
I promise you, this is real. Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-hosts, Peter Billin.
I'm Cecil Davis.
And we're just trying to have a conversation without Google or fact-checking things online. Those things can so easily kill the conversation.
You know what? I haven't killed the conversation this week with anything, so that's good. We're coming up again on a big conversation time when Christmas comes around.
Right. Everyone will be looking to you. Someone will say something, someone else will disagree, and they'll look at you. Yeah. And the look is, can I Google that?
Right.
And the answer is, not yet.
Not yet.
Keep talking.
Wait till we talk. Speaking of killing things, we're going to talk about killing deer with cars tonight.
Oh, man. What don't sound right about that?
Well, you would think a car would win in a car-deer collision.
Well, a car always wins. The deer usually dies.
Well, the deer usually dies.
But sometimes there's a tie.
But there's a lot of damage done when you hit an animal.
Yes.
As big as a deer.
No, or even as small as a deer.
Or is it even as small as a deer?
So my son Jack, he was borrowing, his car needed some work, so we swapped his car for my youngest daughter's car. So he was driving that back and forth to work, and he said, "Dad, I hit a fawn."
Oh.
And so it went underneath. So he kind of hit it, went underneath, and then he went back the next day and checked to see if it was still there, and yeah, it was definitely a fawn.
They're doing damage?
It did about $3,000 worth of damage. In fact, the body shop said you really shouldn't have driven this car back from Raleigh.
Hey.
I don't know. I think the problem because the fan could have hit the radiator and blow out but they ended up having to replace the radiator and the AC condenser, the whole front bumper cover, because it didn't go over, it went under and kind of bounced underneath there. But yeah, huge amount of damage just for a small deer.
Friend of mine hit one recently, same kind of thing, radiator damage, front end damage, and this was a sports package. And so,
well, what kind of car was it?
Toyota TRD.
Oh, you know what TRD stands for?
Total Racing Division?
No, totaled ran over a deer.
In this case, yeah, it did. So it's got the special package on it, so there's a lot of expensive
all the special
bits on there.
Have you ever hit a deer?
I've never hit a deer. No.
I've had a close call.
I've had close calls. What was your close call?
So, ironically, I was up in Virginia, and I was working as an intern, and one of the other interns and I were going to one of our co-workers who worked at the plant, his property, to go deer hunting.
Oh, you hit it on the way to a deer hunt.
We're going deer hunting, and we're driving, and the deer runs out in front. And so I make a quick swerve, and this is in the Scout. I make a quick swerve, overcorrect, and slide my back end into the ditch. And I mean, we're lucky we didn't roll over because we slid perpendicular to the road with the back tires in the ditch, just kind of sliding with the front tires on the pavement, just kind of sliding along.
Did you kill the deer?
I missed the deer.
Oh, you missed? Oh,
I saved the deer. I saved the deer. But then I couldn't get the Scout started. Really? Because of the weird angle, the engine flooded. And I couldn't for the life of me get the thing started.
Does the Scout have a roll bar?
It does, yeah.
Okay.
It does.
So you ought to have been relatively safe.
We've probably been all right. Yes, we've probably been all right. The Scout would have been in bad shape, but we've been all right. But I couldn't get the thing started because and I had not learned how to clear a flood on a carbureted
vehicle. How old
vehicle.
were you?
I was in college.
Okay.
I guess I've just never had a problem with the engine flooding. But I never really understood how to clear a flood on a carbureted car. Do you know how to clear a flood?
Well, you had to remind me the other day. If you don't, do you remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. I know how to clear a flood, but I had forgotten.
Yeah.
You reminded me.
Yeah, the way you do it is you just push the pedal all the way to the floor, and you hold it there, and you start it.
Yep.
And you keep cranking with all the way to the floor. It'll clear the flood.
Yep.
I had no idea. And it's a funny thing was I forgot what happened. I forgot how it went down, but I think the guys we were going hunting with came looking for us.
Mm.
Or maybe they drove by and they saw us there. And this is no cell phones.
No.
And they were trying to, I think they eventually pulled me out, but then I still couldn't start the car.
Right, because of the flood.
It was still flooded.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, that's the problem?"
Mm.
And they showed me how to do it, and it's fired right up.
So you still kind of damaged your car, not permanently.
No.
Temporarily.
Yeah, it was more of
the deer still got you.
Yeah, the deer still had its way with me. It ruined my deer hunt for sure.
And I've seen people do all kinds of things to try to avoid this, putting whistles on their cars, these hypersonic whistles.
Do those work?
I have no idea.
Do those work?
The first place I saw those was in the J.C. Whitney catalog when I was
They've been around
14
a
years old.
long time.
And you mount them. So if you don't know what we're talking about, you can buy these little supposedly whistles that the deer can hear. I don't know if you can hear them because I would hate to drive along and hear a whistle.
I don't think you can hear them. I think they're...
And you mount on your front bumper and the wind blows through, the air moves through them, it creates a sound that's supposed to make the deer not run out in front of
them. They look like they're about the shape of the size of a little bullet.
Yeah.
With a hole drilled through it.
Yep.
And the wind rushes through there, creates this high frequency that evidently the deer either are afraid of or they don't like, so they stay away. But the thing about deer is, you've heard the phrase deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
They see the light and they're mesmerized by the deer.
Right.
By the headlights. They jump out in front of you, they look at you, they see the headlights, and they freeze.
Right.
But that's probably the easiest one to avoid.
Yeah.
It's the ones that jump, and this is the ones that jump out of the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that get you every time.
Heavy cover on both sides, and then suddenly they jump out of a ditch. The closest I came is I had one jump over the back of my car. As we drove by.
Wait, how did you know it jumped over did you see in the rear view mirror?
It saw in the rear view mirror. Yeah, I saw, as we went by, I saw coming out, and one kind of went over the back of the car.
When you're driving along the road at night and you see deer along the side, are you concerned?
Absolutely.
See, I'm not as concerned if they're already on the shoulder.
When do you get concerned?
When I see the sign and I don't see the deer. I'm concerned when I can't see the deer. I feel like that if I can see them and they're on the shoulder staring at my lights, they're not going anywhere. They're already mesmerized. They're already frozen. They're not doing it. They're not going to. Yeah. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know what makes a deer run out in front of a car. I know, like you said, I know what makes it stop when they get out there, but I don't know what makes them run at that particular moment when a car is going by. Same thing with a squirrel. It looks like they would be able to see the car.
They could hear the car, see the car, probably even feel the car in the pavement.
And they run out.
Because, they're very sensitive. They can feel things.
Yeah.
You'd think they'd feel this car rumbling towards them.
But, yeah, I'm always surprised. I've seen deer that have come into the cab of a car.
Yeah.
When they hit them, instead of going under the car, they go up over the hood. And that can not just do a lot of damage to the car, it can do a lot of damage to the occupant.
Yeah, that's right. When they come through the windshield, that can be painful.
Yeah. Have you seen these new bridges that they've created? I think there's one in Western North Carolina. I think we mentioned this bridge.
Oh, yes.
Now, I don't know if these work. So if you haven't seen
wildlife bridges.
And so they create a kind of a green bridge across the highways, thinking that the deer will use that instead of crossing the highway.
So my one of the things I wonder is, why do they put the deer crossing signs in certain places? I mean,
I've never understood.
Why would they put them why would they put the signs that tell the deer to cross in such busy locations?
That's right. If
you take the signs down, the deer won't cross.
That's right.
You put the signs up, the deer think, well, this is safe to cross. It's clearly not safe to cross. Right. There's lots of cars.
Well, that's because deer can read. That's how they know to cross on those new land bridges.
Well, there's
instructions.
If we stop putting up signs, maybe we won't have as big of a problem.
As much damage as an animal can do to a car or truck, I have a story of the opposite. There's a guy I knew up in the mountains, and his name was Bull, B-U-L-L.
All right.
And Bull.
When you say mountains, what mountains are we talking about?
North Carolina mountains.
Okay, all right.
And Bull lived up to every aspect of his name. I met him.
Okay. How did you meet him?
Well, his wife worked where I worked.
Okay.
And so one day he came in, brought her something, and she introduced me to Bull because I had heard about Bull.
All right.
And
what kind of things did you hear about Bull?
Just people would mention his name, Bull, and I'd heard his name, but I had not met him yet. So I met him, and he, again, lived up to every aspect of his name. I mean, this was a big guy and just a mountain of a man, as they would say. But Bull was not always called Bull. He picked up his name later in life.
So this was more of a nickname.
This was a nickname. So
what was his real name? Reginald?
I don't know his real name. Here's how he got his name. He would ride a motorcycle.
Okay.
So Bull was riding his motorcycle, and Bull hit a bull on his motorcycle.
A true bull.
A true bull.
A male bovine.
A big male bovine, and killed the bull. Did not kill the guy.
The guy made it. The bull didn't. On the motorcycle?
On the motorcycle.
How'd the motorcycle fare?
I don't think the motorcycle fared very well.
Okay.
But yeah, so the bull died. I mean, it's like a Chuck Norris joke. I mean, it's like...
Did Bull and Bull, did they collide with each other?
Yeah. He survived and Bull did not survive. And that's how Bull got his nickname.
That's a good way to get a nickname.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be a big boy to be able to survive a collision with a bull, I would say.
So if you're ever called Squirrel, it's really not the same.
It's not to have the same impact. Now,
what about Buck?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you run into a deer on your motorcycle.
If you roll into a buck,
right, riding
your motorcycle, and the deer.
If you kill a deer like that, we'll start calling you Buck.
How about a bicycle? I think that's more worthy.
Yeah. So you got to be a big guy to be able to kill an animal like that on a motorcycle. I can't imagine hitting anything on a motorcycle.
No, I'm surprised he didn't come out with injuries or anything like that.
Yeah. No, he lived up to his name. Like
do you know what the circumstance of hitting the bull? Was he just on a mountain road, or I
guess the bull had gotten out of its paddock and gotten out on the road,
and he saw the single headlight and was froze and.
Yeah,
because it's hard. I would think you'd see the bull coming.
You would think.
I mean, bulls are big; they take up a lot of room on the road.
Yeah, you would think again, unless they were messing with me. There was no indication that they were messing with me.
Right.
And the guy was big enough that it made the story plausible. But that's what everybody told me with a straight face was how he had gotten his nickname.
So, did you have him tell the story?
No.
Okay.
I didn't talk to Bull.
Oh, you didn't talk to Bull? You stayed away from Bull.
Stayed away from him. No, he seemed to be a nice guy.
I wonder how he would have fared against the kangaroo. They had this problem in Australia.
What, running into kangaroos?
Yes. We install kangaroo bars on our trucks.
Are you being serious?
I kid you not. This one does this don't sound right, does it?
You install kangaroo bars on your Volvo trucks in
on
Australia.
Our Max.
On your Max.
Max.
In Australia.
For Australia. For kangaroos. It's the truth.
What?
In fact,
like an old cow catcher on front of the truck.
It is. It's like a cow catcher. It's pretty big. It's all these bars that just cover every inch, not every inch, but follows the outline of the hood, and then they go down and then goes out, covers the headlights, goes down, hooks into the bumper, and then there's even a bar we put at the lower edge of the lower half of the windshield. In case the kangaroo's jumping.
Are you setting me up for a joke?
I promise you, this is real. This is real.
Is there that?
We have some listeners in Australia.
So we
have listeners in Australia. I won't call his name out, but you know who you are. Write me back. Tell me I'm not lying. Tell Cecil I'm not lying.
So is it that big of a problem having kangaroos?
Yes, it's a big problem. And they're big. Kangaroos are big.
As big as a deer, I would guess.
And they would cause damage to your truck. And if you're out in the middle of nowhere, the last thing you want is to come have any kind of animal go through your radiator and put you down.
Is there a lot of rural driving, I guess, in the outback, right?
It is wide open spaces, yeah.
So you're trying to get from one big city
to the other big city is just a lot of nothing. And they're usually, in order to be efficient, they carry 3 or 4 trailers. These are things called road trains. So you don't want your the tractor pulling your road train to stop for any reason.
Wow.
Because it is going to be days before you can get help. But yeah, so we have rhubards. We put rhubars on there.
They're called rhubars?
Kangaroo bars.
Rhubars.
Yeah, rhubarb for kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
Yeah.
Are there that many kangaroos in Australia?
Yes, there's lots of kangaroos in Australia.
I think of Australia as being very open. Like, I would think you'd be able to see them coming from miles away.
Well, it's the same thing with bull. I would think you could see a bull before you hit it on a motorcycle.
On a mountain road, like curvy mountain road, and all of a sudden you take a curve and
think about this. I mean, maybe you think about this. You're driving along, and you're in your road train,
right?
And you see these kangaroos kind of start hopping,
right?
You're not going to stop. And you're not going to swerve.
Yeah.
The safest thing to do is to go straight and plow.
Well, I guess you can't swerve.
You're not going to swerve.
You're not going to stop a road train.
I mean, even in a heavy truck, the saying goes that you just drive. Mm-hmm. You don't slow down. You don't stop. You don't swerve. It's the worst thing you can do. You jackknife.
Right.
You get into a rollover. Mm. You just have to go through them. And so you're seeing more and more of these heavy trucks on the road with these deer guards. We call them deer guards here.
Right.
We call them rhubars in Australia. But it's to protect the front of the truck because the truck needs to keep going.
Are y'all in America, are they as extensive as the rhubars? For the
I don't think they're as extensive. I think just about every Australian road train tractor gets one of these rhubars. Every single.
That is, I had not heard that.
Oh, yeah.
Before.
Yep.
Now, I've heard driving advice that you always try to drive through something like that.
Yeah.
Like, and I get criticism for that sometimes. Like, I don't swerve
right.
I drive straight because I'd much rather run over a squirrel than hit a car or a person.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do agree with that.
We'll put a rhubar on your Honda or a squirrel bar on your Honda.
I would think a deer would do a great deal of damage to my Honda.
Yes, it would.
Because there's a lot of plastic on that Honda. I would think a deer would do. I think that's why deer do so much damage to these cars. There's so much of that plastic on them now that, those body pieces.
Yeah.
You have to buy them from the dealer and they all cost.
Right. I mean, but the strongest part of the car is the bumper.
Yes.
But you're not hitting the deer with the bumper. You're hitting the deer with it above the bumper.
Yes.
And like you say, all that stuff is plastic now.
Yeah.
And they just come right through it.
Right.
And on our truck, we even put a reinforcement now in front of the radiator behind the grill to slow the impact of the deer. If people don't put the deer guards on, we have a reinforcement back there to slow the deer from coming into the radiator because that's a very expensive piece.
Absolutely.
But that even in a heavy truck, you're not hitting the deer with your bumper. You're hitting them with your grill.
Right. And that's
same thing with the kangaroo. Kangaroo's center of gravity are probably even higher.
Right.
Or a cow's center of gravity is even higher. And they're coming through anything.
Yeah.
Anything that tries to hit it. Because all you're doing is taking its legs out. The rest of it's coming on top on.
Coming through the radiator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, your Honda, my RAV4. Yeah, we're all the van. We got a van. Oh yeah, that thing.
Well, the van, the whole nose of it slipped down so.
Oh yeah.
Bad. Yeah. No. Yeah, I guess that would be a bad repair out in the middle of the outback.
Yeah.
The radiator's gone.
You don't need it. You don't need that.
Well, I learned something.
I can't wait to get the email. I hope they send
a picture now. I'm not going to Google this until we get the email. Maybe he'll send a picture of it, the rhubarb.
Well, I've got some pictures too. But hopefully he'll send one.
Yeah. No, I won't Google this at all. But yeah.
We'll know if he's really listening.
Yeah. So, with our company, we have a lot of drivers that drive at night. And so there's always, even corporately, they put out notices about being careful
deer season.
In deer season.
I guess you've stopped driving back and forth, right? I'm always astonished in the fall how many dead deer along the road in the fall.
Absolutely.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
Just in this 20-mile stretch between here and Greensboro.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still a lot of open. Well, you don't need a lot of forest to have a deer anyway.
No,
there's still a lot of forest between here and Greensboro.
Yeah.
You and I live in a neighborhood that have a big buffer along a creek.
What's the name of that buffer?
I call it riparian.
Riparian?
Or riparian.
Riparian? Riparian?
We'll have to Google that.
No, we'll let someone else correct us.
So, which is just a big highway for deer in our neighborhood. And there's some big deer in our neighborhood.
I don't have a fence in my yard.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone else on the other side may have fences. And so the deer come right through my yard all the time. And guess what I saw today?
Buck?
No. I've seen a buck before. But today in my backyard, it was about the size of a laundry basket. The grass and the leaves were all matted down and pushed into the ground. You know what that was?
My bedded down.
They bedded down. They're sleeping back there.
Yeah,
they usually use it for a toilet. Charlotte was out there playing lacrosse. She says, Dad, I can't play out here. I'm like, what can't you play out here? She said, the deer have just completely used our backyard as a toilet.
Well, there's some big bucks in our neighborhood.
This year?
Yeah. There's one monster buck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah, but all those have to cross somehow or another a big parkway that runs in our neighborhood too.
Yeah,
that's where they get into trouble.
Right. Well, I take it easy when I drive from your house.
Yeah.
I don't drive fast.
Yeah.
I don't want to hit a squirrel or a deer, kangaroo or a buck, or a bull.
But now that makes me wonder why we don't, especially with like delivery vans that are delivering at night, why all those don't have rue bars or deer bars.
Yeah, especially those Amazon trucks.
Yeah.
That'd be a very good, I think that'd be a good move for them.
Now it makes me wonder why we even put the radiator in such a vulnerable part of the car.
Well,
I mean, I know you got to have it there for airflow.
It's the best place for airflow.
But we haven't redesigned it in 100 years.
Well, still, what are the odds?
What?
Of hitting a deer?
I don't know. What are the odds?
Doesn't seem to be high.
I don't know. I know a lot of people have hit deer.
Do you really? You know a lot of people?
Yeah.
A lot, Cecil?
I would say a lot.
All right.
I'll take an informal poll this week and see how many people have hit a deer with damage.
I mean, in all my driving, I've only gotten close once.
Well, that's saying something.
And that's too bad I avoided it because my grill is steel. The deer would not have come through and damaged.
And you at least got a deer that day. Did you shoot one?
I did not even see one. That was the only deer I saw. The one I tried to avoid. I should have plowed into it.
Yeah, you wouldn't have gotten skunked that day. All right. All the deer lovers don't write us.
Oh, that's right. No, Podbean numbers are dropping like flies, right?
Yeah, if the deer died, he deserved to die. All right. It don't sound right, but you've come to the end of this don't sound right. But you got some homework for next week. And that is we've got to have at least one letter about the rhubars.
Rhubars, photographic evidence.
Just because it's getting close to December. We'll be close to April. I don't want to be being set up from some grand April Fool's joke about rhubars.
I don't know anything about this. Yes, thinking of December, I guess this is airing on December 14th, right?
Yeah.
So in 2 days is the worst day to have a birthday. So happy birthday to me. But before we close, we want to thank everyone for listening. If this is your first time and enjoyed the conversation, would you consider hitting the subscribe button on the platform you listen with? Also, if you're a longtime listener, please give us a rating and leave us a review so others can easily find us enjoying the conversation.
That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcast in conjunction with Camel City Studios. I am your co-host and sound engineer, Cecil. Peter's your other co-host and does the website. Camille's your barista. Emily does your graphic design. Elle does your Instagram. Giorgio tests your merchandise. Brent is your brand ambassador in International. And as always, listener number one is
Scott.
So until next week, keep talking.
And stay curious.